Are you actually going to put this out to the army as well as a potential training?
Yeah, the dealing with the army is very interesting. Not only because you get to go on helicopters sometimes, but getting the army to buy anything is a very, very complicated and long procedure. One of the talks that I went to somewhere down in Plymouth, the key phrase that came away with me was that I haven't got a pencil, but if I did, I'd hold it up and say, buying this is like buying a house. So it has to go through so many stages of approval, and then you get to the final stage and you find that that person's leaving and no longer cares, and somebody else comes in and you have to do it all again. So it's a very, very long procedure, but yeah, we're kind of working on that.
The government funds, aren't they, if you're providing a service or something which will help the public sector that you can access?
I'm sorry, can you?
There are grants available. I believe there are government grants available if you're producing something that's going to be advantageous to the public sector, which you can access.
Yes. I'm a kind of, I don't tend to deal with the money side of it. I just deal with the bit that gets to be my fault at the end if it goes wrong. I'm kind of a last-minute replacement. Mary Matthews was supposed to be talking today, but she deals with the kind of the money side of it. I have got her business card. If anybody wants to ask her any questions, then I can pass her details along.
It sounds a fascinating project, and it could go global, so I wish you all the best of luck.
Oh, it's very, very
interesting. It's very worthwhile, isn't it, for training. I used to be an army medic myself, just part-time, in the Mercian Regiment, and I think this is the sort of thing they would love, you know, as a training tool to medics and people like that.
Certainly, the guy that we work with, who's the #2 field surgeon in the British Army, is fantastically keen on it. It's just the process of getting it there that's the lengthy thing.
Any other questions? Oh, okay, one more.
There was obviously a time when this was just an idea, and I was wondering what you had to have in place before you actually went to the funders. You know, did you go with just an idea, or was there certain essential things that you have to have, like a pilot or the partners, before you approach the funders? Well,
initially to work out what we wanted to do, we'd done the interactive trauma trainer, which was a very, very short project, which delivered kind of decision-based training, and we saw that there was an area of need in that, and that in fact the amount of money spent on, just to put it in perspective, every single member of the British Forces and every single doctor and every single ambulanceman throughout the world has to do this training, and the way they do it is with students lying on the floor. So the funding for it, it is a hugely important thing, especially in the army where you might be doing this but under fire, which is another good game. The funding for it isn't there, so we decided early on that yeah, a triage game would be a good idea, but we needed to make sure that we weren't just making a triage game. We needed to make sure that all the effort that we put into it was reusable across the board. So as a character-based studio, all our games have characters in them, and that was what we wanted to really focus on. If we were going to spend a number of months putting effort into creating characters, we wanted to make sure that they'd be reusable everywhere else. So it was kind of the balance of getting the idea and the innovation and making sure that what came out of that was usable.
Can I just ask a question there? I'm not sure, again, if this is perhaps one for Mary or yourself, but following on from that, were you quite blatant and open about that at the time of application to TSB? Are they, in fact maybe it's a question for you, are you quite happy for companies to say, look, this is looking beyond this project in itself, but there are useful assets and this is benefit for our company? Is that something that will enhance a bit?
I don't know. I hope I haven't done something wrong. I have to pay all the money back.
The bottom line is a business case. The bottom line is a business case and a route to market on the back of a highly innovative product or service. And so in a sense it's quite simple in those terms. But if you can demonstrate innovation, route to market, and the later business case, then it's it's doable.
I should also point out that we had 2 grants. So the TSB grant was one of them, and the other one was the Solera grant, which was more towards having reuse out of assets. So we were quite balanced about kind of, okay, this particular chunk of work is offset against this grant, and then once it goes into a game and starts doing something, then it becomes part of that grant. So it's kind of like a balancing act with 2 grants, which I had nothing to do with.
Okay, one last question very quickly.
Aaron, you talked about working with partners and some of the difficulties with that. I was wondering, how did you go about finding those partners in the first place? How did you identify the expertise, and how did you get in touch with them?
Again, a lot of that was to do with Mary and Richard Smithies, who's the head of TrueSim. But for example, Celex, they used to be known as Vega, and they are a very, very large training company. In fact, they do training tools for some aircraft. It's an application. It's a fault-finding application. And that's taken them a very long time to make. It's very, very detailed. In fact, so long that my programmer at the time started work on it 10 years ago, and we came back to it, and he was, I wrote that piece of code. So this company is a very big company that is well known for training needs analysis and instructional design. And I mean, some of the choices are obvious because they'd made a sort of a game. It was no fun, but it was sort of a game. And we'd already had links with Birmingham University on the previous project that we did with Bob Stone, and ALSG. We had to find a sponsor for this game, somebody who would put their expertise behind it. And ALSG are a charity, advanced life support group based in Manchester, and they were happy to work with us as well.